cut here. Not too close. So wonderful to be here tonight and see all these friends. Most of the people here we've seen before or we know, good friends of ours, and it's really wonderful. I'd like to thank Phil and Trix for their kind words and for helping us out in this venture right from the beginning. And Mark and of course the people from VegVic, the people from Animals Liberation, the people from the Gawler Foundation. They've all been helpful to us and we hope that we've helped them in some way as well. People, a lot of people when we see them, they have a whole bunch of questions. They have a big question like where to get your protein. But that one you don't really have to prove anymore. But they also have the question is why? Why would you want to do this? I mean really why? And we still ask each other actually every day, why are we doing this? But really, one reason we're doing it is because after Phil was very generous in helping us out to get this whole thing started and off the ground, not really knowing what was going to happen, he presented us with a check and he said, all you have to do, Alan and Janette, is to start what you said you're going to start, finish what you said you were going to do, and if you see any vegans out there, cut their throats. Sorry, anyone that's not vegans, I should say. I always get the punchline. So he said, if you see anybody out there that's not a vegan, do this. So anyway, we thank Phil and Trix for that. I think what we'll do quickly tonight is, I know you're all hungry and there's things to do, so we're going to keep it fairly brief. I'm just going to go through, answer some of the questions that we get asked every day, tell you a bit about how the day goes and what we eat, because I think it's important to know. And then Janette will carry on with some of the deeper, more in-depth stuff, which she's very good at. So, questions. People say, well just today someone said, well you can't run a marathon every day just on fruit and veggies. They actually said that, and we said, well, you know, we really have, and we're not just surviving every day, we're actually thriving. I think it was about 5 days ago, we ran with Eileen, who's been our PR person right from the start. I said the other day, she's done hundreds of hours for us. Then I worked out, if she'd done 2 hours a week for a year, there's 100 hours. She's done thousands of hours of work, just getting the media in touch with us and things like that, plus giving us moral support. So we ran with her, she came and ran with us for the day, and we ran our fastest ever marathon of the trip. So this is after 340 odd marathons. We actually finished at like 1 in the afternoon and we felt really, really good. So we know that we're not just surviving on this food, we're actually thriving on this food. So here's a question we get asked. Now, how do you do this without meat and cheese and milk and all that sort of stuff? How do you do it without steroids, painkillers, everything? And really the answer is really simple. We just eat organic as much as we can, raw fruit and vegetables with a few nuts and seeds. That's all we eat. We keep it really simple. We do eat a lot of some things. Some days we've been known, in fact quite often, we eat 20 bananas in a day. And that might sound a bit extreme, but 20 bananas is only 2,000 calories. We're burning almost 5,000 calories some days. So that's a good start if you have 20 bananas. On extreme days, when there's nothing much else, we can eat 30.
Each?
30 each. 30 bananas each. We can go through a case of bananas in a couple of days.
How would you eat them? Like all just chewing, just eating it like a banana, or mixing them up with?
We make a lot of smoothies.
Smoothies as well.
Well, on our second break, we come in after we've done about 12 kilometres. We can sit down and eat 6, 8, 10 bananas, depending on the size of them, and we feel real good. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the questions. People say, well, how does your day go? Well, it goes pretty simple. 10 to 4 every morning for the last 340 days, we've got out of bed. Never missed a day. Then we make a huge smoothie. Lots of bananas and grapefruit and some ginger. That's just our basic thing. We've just got in the habit of that. We think the bananas are good for us. We know that grapefruit are good, so we just make a really quick and easy drink. And we drink that while we're getting ready and putting on our war paint and strapping on our shoes and tidying up the caravan. We just sleep in a little caravan, but it's been good. So then we're out the door at about between 10 to 5 and 5 o'clock every morning. And I'll tell you, there's been some mornings when the whole caravan has been literally blowing around with the wind and the rain so heavy on the roof that we can barely hear each other speak. And we open the door. Oh, here we go. And you know, we wet through within the first 5 minutes and then off we go. So that's sort of like 5 o'clock. We run about 12k. Our crew, and we have a couple of crew members here tonight who raise their hands. There's Graham over there, and here we have Michael here. We couldn't do this without our crew. It's a huge part of the operation. So somebody will drive by with a Subaru and we'll sit in the car if it's cold, or we'll sit outside in the deck chairs if it's warm at 12k, about 7 in the morning, and we'll eat between 6 and 10 bananas each. Then off we go again. We run to about 15k in total. There again, our crew's made us a huge smoothie. So we have like a jug full of smoothie each. And that consists of bananas, ginger, oranges, maybe if there's any other fruit lying around, pineapples, anything that's going a bit soft, all goes in the blender. And we drink a whole jug full, which is like 1.5 litres each. And then off we go again. We do another 7 or 8k. We usually come in for a break, which was usually just something simple. We might eat a couple of grated apples with some soaked raisins. Maybe we'll have a bit of leftover salad from last night, if there's some left. Just a small break, usually only about 15 minutes. We're off out the door again. We come in again, another 7k. We have lunch, which is usually about 2 in the afternoon, 1 or 2. And then we've got in the habit, if there's enough fruit around, just having a huge bowl of fruit salad. And I mean a big bowl. It's like a football. So we have a big bowl of fruit salad each, and that sets us up for the rest of the day. After that, we don't eat much more. We might have a couple of oranges just before we finish. But when we do finish, we come in, it can be anything from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, depending on if we stop to talk to people or smell the roses. It could be that late, and we've just got used to it because we feel we're burning a huge amount of fat in the last hour. We burn up all the carbohydrates, and now we need a bit of protein and a bit of fat. So we have, and there's some people like our coach, Dr. Doug Graham, would say we're a bit excessive, but we have a big avocado each at the end of this run. And usually in the hollow part where the stone was, we put a couple of teaspoons of tahini. And then top it off, we throw a couple of olives on top. And it's a lot of fat, but, you know, we're okay. I think we're okay. So we have that. And then straight away after that, usually, our wonderful crew has usually made us a beautiful salad. So we have another bowl of salad. And that could be anything from an elaborate raw lasagna to other things that are quite decadent, to just really a chopped up green salad with tomatoes and beets and carrots and that sort of thing. And speaking of that, we also have, when we first come in, before the avocado, a big glass of juice or 2. And that's just carrots, beetroot, apples, and a bit of ginger. And whatever we have left over, some bits of celery, some stalks from the silver beet or the kale that goes in there too. And honestly, we can sit there and we can feel the strength coming back into us. It's like a tonic. You feel the legs just filling up with this beautiful food. That's it. And we've done this every day for 346 days. We've got about just under 20 days to go. We're getting on the ferry tomorrow night to go down to Tasmania. have a quick run around there. We're looking forward to it. So it's pretty small compared to the rest of Australia. And it's funny because, I must just say this, 13 years ago we thought we were pretty clever, and we ran the length of New Zealand. We've been done a couple of times before, but not by a couple of old 50-year-olds. And in those days, by the way, I'm 68 now, and Janette's 64. So, so in those days we thought we were getting on a bit, and I was trying to be a vegan. I wasn't actually doing that well. I thought vegans could have fish and chips, and I didn't have meat pies, but I did have the odd day of fish and chips. Janette was much more pure. She had just pretty much pure vegan meals. And we were sore. We were sore the whole time. Our legs were sore. We'd wake up in the morning, our legs would be stiff and full of lactic acid. And some mornings I could barely walk frontwards down the steps of the camper van. I'd have to walk down backwards. And we'd walk for a half a K, and then we'd shuffle along. And it really was hard work. And this is 13 years ago. And now it's totally different. Here we are, 13 years older. We never get sore. There's no lactic acid, there's no build-up. We can take our clothes off. I mean, you can tell me if you like, but I've done 2 marathons on these clothes in the last 2 days, just because we didn't get time to change tonight. We don't have that sort of lactic acid runners, football players smell that we used to have. Our clothes are clean, we're just clean burning. Our tongue red, we don't have a white tongue anymore. And just because of the food we eat. I mean, it's so simple, just raw fruit, raw veggies, organic, really ripe. I mean, our ripe bananas are ripe, they've got black stuff all over the outsides. You know, because the green banana is quite acid forming. And we know we have to have an alkaline diet, so we have ripe bananas. So that's it, we went down the whole trip. Started here from Melbourne, went up the east coast, did a quick tour to Canberra to see who was really running the country. They were all on holiday, so we figured it must have been us that was running the country. Then we went twice across the Great Divide. Bloody steep up there, very hilly. We came down the other side. We got involved with Cyclone Oswald. 3 weeks of torrential rain. I lost 90% of my toenails. That's 9. I just kept one of the big ones. They just sort of flaked away, really. There was just nothing left. But nothing happened. We didn't get any infection, didn't take any antibiotics or medication. But we had some hot days. We had 2 days, 44 degrees. 49 degrees inside the caravan. So we ran up the Clyde, went down the other trail, down the other side, in the pouring rain. And so they were trials. We almost didn't make it into Canberra because this huge bushfire came through. And they said, luckily they let us go through. We got through there, and the next day the road was closed, so we were lucky there, because we still hadn't missed a day, and we still haven't. After Canberra, we went to Sydney, up to Townsville. That was paradise for us, because there was raw food everywhere. There was pineapples and mangoes and oranges and bananas just there for the taking. And we just really thrived, stone fruit and apples. We really thrived on that. We could have a lot. We got to Townsville. We knew we were going to be in for a bit of a hard time going across the Barkly. We filled up the whole ute with fruit and veggies. 9 boxes of bananas, 6 boxes of oranges, everything that we could cram in there. Unfortunately, it wasn't all organic. In fact, a lot of it wasn't organic, but it was the best we could do. We just had to have raw fruit. We struggled across the Barkly, but it was okay. We had fruit most of the way. We had a few cabbages and things like that just to spread the fruit out, but mainly you were on a fruit diet. And then we went up from north, right up to Darwin, and that was wonderful. There was still fresh fruit available. Came down the other side, it was still pretty good. And then, after being in Perth, and by the way, I have to say in Perth, we did a speech a bit like this. 2 people from the audience had an organic shop and a raw food restaurant. They stood up. They said that they wanted to sponsor us for the whole of Western Australia. Anything we wanted, organic. And they just laid it on. They got organic bananas. Because I happened to say that we've been staying with these people for 3 or 4 days. And all of a sudden we felt, before we were up there and now we felt really good. And because I said that, they realised that I was serious and they said, okay, we're going to give you organic food the whole of the time in Western Australia. Just tell us what you want. They gave us not only organic bananas and oranges and apples, but chia seeds organic and fruit, organic sultanas and raisins and nuts. At the end, just before we crossed the border to go into the Nullarbor, they filled up a utility wagon with thousands of dollars worth of organic food, and they drove 800 kilometres just to give us this food. Very touching. And then the same guy at the other end, when we came across the other end of the Nullarbor, he came to meet us as well with the same deal, and drinking coconuts and durians and everything you could think of was there. So that's pretty much it, except I've got to say that the Nullarbor was the biggest challenge of all. Even though we'd done weeks and weeks of desert, there was actually nothing quite like the Nullarbor. We knew it was going to take us 27 days, so we had as much food as we could for 27 days, because I tell you, there's nothing else out there. There's 6 roadhouses, but if you're not into Tim Tams, Coca-Cola and Gatorade, there's nothing in them. We often thought, well, maybe there'll be a banana or an avocado, but there's nothing. So, to be quite honest, after 24 days out of the 27, we actually got quite low in food. We thought, oh, well, this would be a good time to fast, We all need to fast now and again, so we sort of dug in a bit deep, and we did eat. We had a big sack of chia and a big sack of sultanas. That became our staple diet. We had some other stuff left over, but that's mainly what we ate. And we found out that we actually thrived on that as well. It was just the feeling. I wake up in the morning, there's no bananas. What are we going to do? But we did thrive on chia and raisins and a bit of food that was dwindling. Because we were told 3 days before the border there's going to be this grocery shop. And we had these visions of running into this grocery shop and getting food. And everyone said it was there, so we got there, 3 days to go, and we were down to our chia seeds and raisins, and we walked up and someone said, doesn't look like it's open. And we went into the next shop, the Roadhouse, and they said, no, it actually closed 2 years ago. And there's no food there. So then we had to dig really deep, but we made it. We lost a couple of kilos, but we got there, and we got to this, like I say, at the other end of the Nullarbor. Our friends who had been sponsoring us had driven from Adelaide to this border with another thousands of dollars worth of food and another $700 trip. And boy, it was like an oasis of food. That's pretty much it. We had some rough days coming down into Perth. Tremendously cold, stinging rain right into our face. We didn't think we'd get that. It was coming on to summer. I'm glad we came down in the summer because it was real cold. And one day I'll never forget, because we were frozen. We were drenched to the skin, shivering. Couldn't use the phone because the rain had drowned the whole thing. It wouldn't even work. And we looked around. Here comes the caravan. It's going to be warm in there and some change of clothes. And the caravan passed us. It was on a stretch of road. There was nothing. It was just this 2 lanes and this steep bank. And we thought, well, they'll find somewhere to stop soon. And we watched it and watched it. It disappeared out of sight. Probably 7k from where we were until it was over the horizon. Finally they stopped, and finally we called up, and by that time we were a bit of a mess. We were cold. But we got in the caravan. There was no heating in there, but we just took our clothes off, dried ourselves with a towel. And we hadn't finished for the day. We still had another 8 kilometres to go. We just changed our clothes, and within 15 minutes, it was like it never happened. They did give us a nice juice. They made some fresh juice for us. So this is the way life went on, and really that's pretty much all I have to say, except that to give you an idea of some of the amounts of stuff we've gone through. Bananas, 180 boxes of bananas since we left. Oranges, about 90 boxes of oranges. Apples, 8 or 10 boxes. All the other fruit and veggies you could think of, saw beet, spinach, kale, boxes and boxes and boxes. But that's what we had to have to get our calories. And if anybody ever tells you, I'm going to keep saying this, because if anyone ever tells you you can't run a marathon, we had 4 businessmen came by one day. They said, we heard about you, we've just come up from Melbourne on a hunting, fishing, shooting trip. We've heard about you guys and we just don't believe it. Can you show us what you're having for dinner tonight? And we had a big, huge bowl. It was us 2 and 2 crew. It was a big bowl. It was like a big sort of a system. And we said, this is what we're having tonight. And one guy said, well, you can't run a marathon on that.
What was in it?
Oh, sorry, fruit salad. So there's everything in there. There was apples and bananas and peaches and kiwi fruit, a real good salad. And the guy said, well, yeah, but you can't run marathons on that stuff. And one of his mates said, well, actually, they've just done 150. And they look all right. And the guy was sort of scratching his head, and I'm sure we might have influenced him a little bit, because you can run marathons and you can do extreme things just on raw fruit and raw veggies, nuts and seeds. We pretty much have 80% of our diet comes from fruit. About 15% comes from vegetables, and about 5% comes from nuts and seeds. And we think we're okay. So I'd just like to thank everybody again for being here. This is one of our ex-crew here, smiling away. And thank you all for coming tonight. Janette will tell you more about other things. And thanks again.